All right, here we are again. Howdy.
Hey, how's it going?
Going all right. So, this is Faust versus ZeusPegasus13. Looks like we are
Gotcha.
running Plague Knight Remiliss Seijun versus Geoffrey, or maybe Geoffrey, I'm not sure, Guile, and Renea.
Yep.
Whew.
We're in the double elimination round, and this is the first round of 32 match taking place, I believe.
Oh, okay, so this is like the... Wait, does that make the second round of double elim, technically?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
So each of these players has won one round already.
Correct.
Got it.
So they've both proven themselves so far against other
Yep.
opponents.
Oh,
Now
man.
they have to fight each other.
We're going to have some really big hands. We have Guile versus Seijun, round one.
Wow.
Yep. So these are some pretty powerful characters who tend to draw a lot of cards, have a lot of options, and as a correlation, and because of that, threaten EX attacks more often than other characters. All right, let me switch over.
They also tend to like similar ranges.
That's true. Seijun, they both like 1 or 3. Guile's favorite range is smack in the middle at 2. Seijun is arguably at 1 or 3, not really at 2, but she functions at all of those. She has a pretty hefty mix-up that she runs in that range. All right, let's see. Seijun. And Guile. It works. All right.
I think I think I'm gonna go ahead and favor Seijun in this matchup because I think Guile's big scary thing is throwing out EX attacks, but Seijun's gonna have a more guard than most characters, so she'll have an easier time answering them. What are your thoughts?
So I would agree with that, except there's an interesting dynamic here where Seijun is stronger. So it's the timing of their strengths. Like, Guile is weaker in the early game and gradually becomes stronger, and then he ramps up after he exceeds with the gauge.
Right.
Seijun starts out very strong, but she doesn't ramp very quickly. She gets very gradual increments of extra power as the game goes on. Natural 20, whatever that means. So I think Seijun could easily burn out early, and then give Guile the chance to come back and never let her have the momentum to rebuild. Because one of the problems with Seijun is if you burn out all of your resources without keeping a way to reload, or if your opponent snipes your reload, specifically I'm talking about Ancient Ambition here, then you just have to spend turn after turn reloading. Like, it takes forever, and that is a huge problem.
Yeah, and Guile in his prime gets to reload and strike at the same time.
Yes, Guile, optimal big hand Guile is going to be drawing 3 cards and striking every turn when he's fully loaded, and it's a terrifying thing to behold. And he will just give the opponent no time at all to recover. If she exceeds, I think it will actually get worse for her. I think that extra guard could really come in handy. So I agree in principle, but I think it might actually work out to be to Guile's advantage if Seijun drops her power budget a little too early.
Well, it'll be exciting to find out how that works out.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, Ashton in the chat observes Guile has a better boost game. Since Seijun as a 7th cross character, and as a pretty extreme example, has 5 transformations, meaning her only boosts are on her ultras, and one of them is the reload boost, and the other is just stun immunity. So Guile can outstat her by boost warring in ways that she just can't contest.
That would be pretty scary. That's also one of Guile's ways ramping up is to play a bunch of boosts that will either get value on the strike or good at gauge.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It looks like the players were discussing Guile's Exceed mode. It is very possible that, let's see, who's who? That Zeus has not played, Faust has not played into a Big Hand Guile, which could be exciting.
Every Exceed player should play into Big Hand Guile once in their lifetime, just for the experience.
Is that only once, or at least once?
At least once. If you can handle it more than once, go for it.
Alright, so Guile preps. Seijun, being Seijun, starts with an extra 2 cards. So she already has 8 cards. Alright, boosting light. Alright, so this telegraphs Inari Guidance, since that's the attack that benefits the most from it at this range. And it's an attack that she really wants to land for that transformation.
Yeah, the extra range that she gets from it is that she can contest a lot of Guile's nonsense a bit easier.
For sure. Standing at range 2 means that he can be vulnerable to anybody with extra range, because they can play Grasp at range 1 and it turns off most of his options. Granted, you only get so many copies of that. Alright.
Guile does have some options to respond to that. He could potentially boost power and maybe make his retaliation harder, or he could try to make a boost war out of this and build up resources that way.
Now, interestingly, if he falls back on his special boosts, he'll actually have a hard time making that boost war work out in his favor. Since if Seijun just sits back, they will be breaking even. And if he uses his special boosts, they go away after one turn, because they go to gauge at the end of his next turn. So he will not be able to accumulate stats in the way that characters like Ryu can. Alright, so speaking of extra guard, right? We have Shades of Glory. So Guile will put on the shades.
Yep. Once they go on, it's a little hard to get them to come off again.
Yep. Now, one copy can be knocked off. 2 copies is much harder, but the +2 guard shouldn't be underestimated, but it's not the real value of this. The real value of this is the automatic critical, and the fact that he can sustain this indefinitely as long as he is not stunned. So
he wants that automatic critical very badly because he wants to use his gauge for change cards actions.
Exactly. Seijun, I think, wisely techs this, knocking those shades off.
Yeah. It is one fewer option she has in the range. Like you said, Inara is definitely that option.
Yeah, I think it's worth it to get rid of the shades. The extra power in particular that he gets off that could make things real ugly for her, because he, like most Street Fighter characters, he comes online earlier. He doesn't fully come online because of how his progression works, but he can threaten power after 1 gauge much higher than Seijun can after 1 transformation. She will ebb and flow. He doesn't have to. Looks like we have
strike.
1 card.
Single card.
Highly telegraphed Inari guidance.
Yeah, so you either sweep or focus probably here.
Mm-hmm.
You don't cross, which would normally be a pretty safe option because of the +2 speed.
Yep, the +2 speed makes it hit cross. I guess you could play like a flash kick.
Yeah, that's always fair.
Yeah, it's kind of like it's a focus side grade thanks to that boost.
Yeah, the after move one makes it gives it a little bit more value.
That's true. You can set up. Well, actually, he might not want to move though. If it is an Arty guidance, then he'll end up at range 2, which is a pretty good space for him. Looks like I was trying to figure out what Seijun is threatening.
Just 2 options right now, unless she's expecting him to walk into her.
Yes, which would be very surprising given the +2 speed.
It is the Inari guidance,
and it is the sweep. Yep. All right. So this is actually a very comparable trade. That transformation is worth quite a bit to Seijun. So trading down on damage is probably fine with her. Guile gets a gauge, which is super good for him. But I think it will depend what card he sweeps to decide whether this went in his favor or hers.
Yeah, he knocks out one of the inks, and that makes life a lot easier. Especially if it's, I think, Ink Spike is the one I'm scared of most of the time.
Ink Spike is the one that can hit 7 power.
Yeah. Yeah. Players getting a little bit ahead of themselves.
Reminding them to sweep that card. They will randomize the hands and pull. Ooh. Oh no, it's not the other ultra. Oh, careful.
It's the less valuable ultra, but 2 forces, 2 forces.
Yeah, it's still an ultra. All right. So Seijun doesn't care about Discord Order, but for the record, the hit effect discards that, and then at the end of the strike, the boost will go away.
Yep. Players talking about how to maintain game state properly right now. What?
Okay, the ultra was discarded by the hit effect. Then the boost goes to discard at the end of the strike. during the cleanup step.
Okay, and Guile looks like he's still going to be striking on his turn.
Yep. I definitely appreciate the player's efforts to maintain game state. That is always nice. So Guile striking, this is not critical. Range 2, you can threaten a lot of things, though.
Especially with only 5 cards in Seijun's hand.
Yep.
She's not threatening the high power ink splash ink spike mix up.
Yep. Oh, nice.
And that's a pretty decent way to handle that situation.
Yep, this is actually very good for Guile, because at this range, he has Sonic Boom, and Seijun only has the other copy of Inari Guidance. So if she strikes, she telegraphs that she's going to throw the Inari. And he can throw whatever he wants.
Yeah, Inari still loses a trade to crit Sonic.
It does indeed. Alright, we have the Exceed. Possibly a little early since he doesn't have any gauge to leverage it. But, hey, he's exceeded.
Guile's true Exceed cost is actually 3 gauge.
Yeah, like with most Street Fighter characters.
You're allowed to jump the gun if you think it'll be bad tempo later and good tempo.
This is true, and I think that was a very reasonable time to exceed. Alright, she's going to step forward, dropping the second copy of Tale of 7 Trials. We have the second copy of Shades of Glory.
Yep.
And the second tag.
Not gonna let that one stay.
Yep, that is very sensible. Well, the Shades have been kicked off twice, so he won't be seeing those until post-reshuffle.
Yep. If I was Guile, I don't think I'd quite reshuffle yet. That's a little too aggressive, but sometime soon, maybe.
Oh, EX attack, probably the first of many. So Assault here is really good. Could also be Spike Dive or Double Sweep Kick, although Double Sweep Kick is not that reliable because 3 power is not going to break Seijun's guard no matter what.
Yeah. Seijun has the Ink Mix-Up Live, both of which are very good in this situation.
Yep. I think Ink Spike is the weaker of the two right now because it only has 3 guard and it would lose pretty handily to the EX Spike or the EX Assault. Ink Splash, however, is pretty superb. Trades with or beats everything. The only question is whether I'm willing to trade out.
I'm reading this being EX Dive.
Think so? Alright.
Yeah.
I think it's Spike. Oh, it was the dive. Alright, good call. So, jumps over, deals 6, and Seijun cannot hit because of Dive's effects. Alright, puts Guile at range 1, which is fine, but it was range 1 is not bad for him. And at any rate, he will get to use his carriage ability now. So he chooses to draw, he spends only 1 gauge, which is worth 3 force for him because of his carriage ability. Now he may strike or he may end his turn, his choice.
We aren't quite big hand. This is just a reasonably large hand so far.
Yep. He is not yet big-handing. He needs to build up a little more gauge. We will probably see a strike. This is the usual gameplay loop of Guile, is after you exceed, you want to spend a gauge to draw 3 cards and strike every turn, and try never to miss.
Honestly, block's pretty safe here.
Yeah, I think block focus, or I might even risk a grasp, because I think grasp only really loses to EX Ink Splash, because as long as I can land that hit and get that gauge, I'm pretty happy as Guile.
Yeah, that's fair.
That is the grasp.
And he does think he's thinking like you right now.
Alright,
no,
can't move Seijun. Can't move Seijun. Okay. That is the text and focus.
That's probably best case outcome for Seijun though, because she maintains hand size without having to think.
I would agree, and she didn't have to drop. Yeah, she didn't have to drop any side of the mix-up there, so Ink is still alive. She also has Guile cornered, which Guile is not especially afraid of her, but she can still bully him like any other character. So this could be easily one of the Inks, or perhaps even a Foxfire. Or Cross. Like, this could be just about anything, actually.
Yeah, I think Inks, one of the Inks is objectively correct here.
Let's see, Guile has only 6 cards in hand. I think this is probably the best chance she's going to have to throw an Ink Spike, because once he starts going on very high hand, he's not going to play things that lose to Ink Spike very often.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Looks like he's evaluating her options, deciding what he wants to play against.
It's also possible, although not necessarily likely, she'll play Yokai Banishing in this case, just to load up on cards.
True. Yeah, so speaking of overdrawing, right? Yokai Banishing lets her draw a card or push 1 for a total of 3 times, meaning she could just draw 3 cards and go to a ton of cards in hand. giving her even more guard on her subsequent attacks.
Yeah, and if you're expecting to deal with some big hand Guile shenanigans, that's not the worst idea.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. In particular, if you think Guile's going to play Afraid and Wild Swing, Yokai Banishing has a pretty even chance of beating any given card. Like, he has several things that are mid-speeds without any defenses. Looks like he's responding from hands.
Alright.
Oh, it is the Ink Spike. That is going to hit for 7. Over 1 armor, dealing 6 damage, crushing that Flash Kick.
Yep.
Very good position.
Very good time to use that card.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Life totals are the same, but it's a little deceptive since 2 transforms, I think, gives Seijun the edge right now.
That depends on how aggressive he's willing to be with his CC.
That's fair.
Like, Guile's on the back foot, but he can spring forward pretty abruptly, let's say. So 5 cards in hand and 1 gauge. Seijun is at, I believe, 8 cards in hand and 2 transformations. Pretty dangerous position. In most Seijun games, I think I would exceed as Seijun here, but I'm not sure it's correct for her to do that on account of needing the extra guard to defend against Big Hand Guile.
Yeah, no, definitely don't exceed in this particular case. Unless you're just planning to play EX Seijun, which, even then, a little risky.
Yep. Guile, okay, Guile boosting, makes sense.
Wait, why did he draw?
That was his end of turn draw. He boosted Military Discipline.
Oh, okay, alright. Yeah, I got that confused with a different card. I see +2 speed on the Guile boost. I mean,
yeah. Nope, that's on the Ultra. But yeah. So Preemptive Strike is so good. Alright. So this is +2 speed, and if he ends his next turn, it'll go to Gauge, which is a nice, easy way for him to build Gauge if the opponent isn't aggressive into him. And if they are aggressive into him, it gives him a better chance of winning the strike outright.
Yeah.
So Seijun has a difficult decision here. She is striking.
Yeah, I think she made that pretty quick. So.
All right. So the question is, what was he? Was he just bluffing, or did he actually have a follow-up?
Honestly, striking into this feels correct.
I think it's pretty dangerous. Like, she may have a lot of guard, she may have a lot of speed, but he can outspeed and guard crush depending on what he has available to throw.
That's true. This is the as many copies of the Spike as you like type of character.
Yes, his deck is made of mid speeds. It's great.
So I like the idea of striking into this more than giving him the option of pulling a reload and strike on his own turn.
I can get behind that. Alright, he's responding from hand. We have a cross into a block. Oh, wow. Alright.
He's being very cautious at the moment.
Yes, he is. Alright, so...
Not necessarily wrong to do that.
Yep, he's going to spin the force, because he is Guile. He can reload whenever he wants. Takes no damage. Seijun actually puts herself at a really bad range here. The only saving grace for her is that she does have the transformation on Inari Guidance. So she can hit from range 4 if she wants to.
Yeah, and it's extra nice because she gets to decide if Guile initiates whether or not she wants to do that.
Alright, so Guile deciding whether or not he wants to strike with the Scared ability. He's already drawn the 3 cards, so he'll either strike or draw for end of turn. Looks like he chooses to end his turn. Alright, he's now at 7.
That's probably acceptable. I think I like the idea of seeing if my opponent's going to pay force or not. I'd commit to my attack.
That is an exceed. Seijun needs to actually flip her character card.
Yeah, this is... you know, I would normally say that's a mistake, but at range 4, where you might want to throw out an EX extra range attack, you need what you can get.
Yeah, I think because of the 2 transformations she has in play, and because they're at range 4, this was fine. At closer range, I think it'd be too risky to take that exceed action. But here, it feels like a good place for it.
Yep. She can threaten a range 4 ink splash here, for example. That's pretty strong.
Yep, that is just terrifying. So Guile can hunker down, play defensive, play more boosts, or he could go on the offense and just try to, you know, not give her a chance to set anything up that's super crazy. You could also do a mixture of both, by big handing and then playing something defensive.
Mhm.
What is she at now? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 cards in hand. My goodness. Oh, Seijun.
So no more passive guard, but all the options in the world.
Yep. Oh, we have roll. He'll close 2, and then if he is not at range 1, he takes another action. So he moves to his favored range and gets another action.
Pretty good deal.
It's a great boost.
Certainly,
It's also a very powerful attack.
Less scared of Ink Splash at this range.
Yeah, there's a lot of options he can use to trade with it. And Seijun, without the passive guard, is probably less confident in throwing that Ink Spike.
Yep. Ink Spike's significantly less scary, especially...
Yep. It made sense to throw in earlier so that she could get that transformation in play. But now she can throw extra power on just about anything. As long as it's EX, but with that many cards in hand, she's very likely to have EXs. Alright, looks like he did boost Homeland Defense for 1 armor 3 guard. Like all of his special boosts, it will go to his gauge at the end of his next turn if no strike occurs between now and then. Okay, they caught it.
Importantly, Ink Splash is no longer auto stun.
That's true. That's true. Ink Splash only does 4 damage, which means it by default will not stun unless she throws an EX and or throws an EX with extra power. Yeah, that's pretty sensible coverage by Guile. I think Seijun currently has a slight advantage, but overall I would say the game is still very, very close.
Yeah, both players have options that let them swing the matchup very quickly if it goes correctly. Importantly, Seijun has EX. Just all the EX attacks in the world she could want, and those can do all kinds of terrible things. And Guile is Guile.
Yep, he does not yet have those EXs, but he might soon, depending on how quickly he can draw into them. Alright, we have an EX from Seijun, and will she be spending for power is the question. Looks like that is +2 power, EX +2 power. Alright. Whew. Well, there's a million things being threatened here.
Yeah, scary thing here is the power 6 Ink Splash in my mind.
That is power 7.
You are correct.
That is 1 to 3, 7, 8s. With 1 armor, 1 guard for good measure.
and just in case that's not scary enough, there's also power 9 Foxfire that's live.
That's what I'm the most afraid of, honestly, is the Foxfire.
So this is a pretty heavy mix-up.
Yes. And I think she still has Spike available, just for good measure. So you can't even try to play something defensive and be sure that it'll work.
Yeah, just eat 8 damage if it's Spike. That's fine.
I mean, that's what I do regularly. Losing to Spike. Alright. Rough position for Guile.
Yeah. You're telling him to block, but you're also telling him it's not.
Yeah.
He
it's
is
like...
going to crit, it looks like.
No, it looks like he was just tilting it. Okay, whoa. Very cheeky. Yeah, he loses completely. He will lose that speed tie, and he does take the 8.
So that's what I meant earlier when I said that either player can swing this very quickly. We see that Seijun's already cut half of.
Yep, but if Guile had won the strike, he would have done 6, dropping her to 10, putting her within 2 strikes of lethal. All right. Oh, evidently he did crit. He just didn't remove the card from gauge, so he was turning it sideways to indicate that.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah,
that puts him in a very difficult position.
Looks like that's a reshuffle action on Guile's side. Interesting. I don't think we've seen any preemptive strikes yet. I would have expected him to make use of those before reshuffling.
Yeah, he might have just had bad luck on drawing them.
Potentially. Or he's holding them and wanted to reshuffle to draw some of his spinning back knuckles back into hand in particular. QB draws for start of turn.
Well, whatever is happening, this is potentially the last turn of the game.
It could be, yeah.
Which we'll be saying, I will be saying on every single strike.
That's true. Oh, here we go. EX with +2. Looks like only +2 power as opposed to +0 to 1 range. We have an EX response.
Okay. Okay.
Oh, nice! Guile will stun that. 3
That's
power
fantastic.
over 1 armor does 2 damage, breaking guard of 1. knocking out all that value. It's not much damage, but it's very valuable for breaking the chain of her attacks. And he's going
Well,
to.
how about that call out? Because
That was
that beats
such a good
assault,
call out.
and it doesn't beat very much else.
It
So
loses so hard to so many other things. I love that read. Guile is going to use his character ability to draw 3, consider striking, or draw for an turn, one of the two. Whew. Alright. Seijun down to 8 cards. Might actually start to feel vulnerable here. 8 is a small hand for Exceed Seijun.
yeah.
Looks like that's an end of turn draw and then a discard, I think. Oh, maybe not. I spoke too soon.
I think if I'm Guile, I might try something like focus in this situation.
Yeah, that's fair. There's, let's see, a total of 14 cards left to Seijun. Seijun gone through like exactly half her deck. A lot of it's in her hand, only 6 in deck. He has a decent amount of information about what options do and don't remain, but it's a lot of options.
Specifically, I'd be hoping to bait out an Ink Splash, or even an EXing Splash.
That makes sense. EXing Splash, I'm not sure I would want to bait that, honestly, because getting hit by that is still going to be a bad time.
Yeah, but it's better to get hit by it on your turn. You can,
That's true. Better to get hit by it when you can trade with it than to just get completely stuffed.
Right.
Alright, there's the end of turn draw. And needs to find something to discard.
It's probably the safer move.
Probably. Guile is now out of gauge. QB draws for start of turn. There it is. Which means he cannot big hand on his next turn. That is important.
But he can do rude things like preemptive.
That's true. Preemptive is still available. As far as I recall, we've seen 0 copies dropped. So QB is getting to the point where it's not super reliable to run an EX with +2. She might sit back and just draw cards. Oh, no. Going for a perfectly ordinary strike, apparently. This feels like something...
Guile, this is very mix-up heavy.
Yeah, this is pretty intense. It could easily be Ink Splash, it could easily be a slow move. Nothing is safe ever. And Seijun's pretty comfortable with either, because as long as she's allowed to trade, she'll win. She has a 6 life lead.
Yeah, that is absolutely a factor.
So, you know, all Guile has to do is read the Seijun player's minds and respond accordingly.
Yep.
It's fine.
This could be a Splash, this could be a Grasp, this could be a Foxfire. Just all sorts of things that you don't want it to be that it could be.
Mm-hmm.
But I think in every circumstance, I want to play focus here if I have.
As the Guile player... So my only caveat to that is, if I think I can stuff this, like if I think I can hard read it and beat it one way or the other, I would 100% do that. Because there's just too much value involved in the swing if I can read this. Oh, that's pretty good.
Okay, yeah.
Alright. That is value for Guile. So she's going to push 2, draw 1, deal 1 damage, and then he will hit back for 6 and burn one of her cards at random. That brings life totals dangerously close. They are, however, at range 3, which means that, you know, Ink Splash is still alive. Alright.
Pulled a copy of Foxfire.
That's nice. Alright, he now has a gauge, which is pretty important.
Yep.
Being at range 3 is definitely better for Seijun here, because she has that transform.
There we go. There's the preemptive.
Oh, okay. Looks like... Alright, so he'll need to pay the cost.
And now we have the option of some mix-ups.
Yeah, so he did reshuffle, which means this could be just about anything.
Yep, could be Assault, could be Spike.
Yep.
Could be Dive. I really like the idea of threatening Dive here, but...
yeah, Dive is a very important threat. It only loses to Ink Splash, and you can stuff Ink Splash by running an Assault. So, it's pretty good. I guess Dive would also lose to what? EX Cross? Sure. That's fine.
Yeah.
Not too worried about losing to EX Cross.
Yeah, I suppose the being able to pay 2 force to make EX
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah.
think that you could survive.
Yeah. Kitsune Sprite working on defense is non-trivial.
Because then you have range 6 and you have another Sonic Boom somewhere in your deck.
Mm-hmm.
Alright. This is EX Ink Splash threatening.
Oh, that is calling it out.
It's,
Is it the
Alright, so
assault?
it's not actually going to be lethal, but it is going to stun the
Oh,
spike out.
it is going to stun the spike. Yep.
Bad is.
That is very bad for Guile.
On the plus side, there's no more Ink Splashes in Seijun's deck.
Until she reshuffles. I don't think she's reshuffled yet.
Yeah, that's fair.
Alright. So she'll pop for 5. Guile is stunned. Alright, she draws for start of turn. Alright, that just gave Seijun finally a decisive advantage.
If she had decided to spend 2 force on that would
have been lethal, yep.
It's fair to be a little cautious around the possibility of focus, but I think a preemptive focus would be highly unlikely.
I'm trying to think if anything actually beat the EX Ink Splash, and I don't think it did because both copies of Double Sweep Kick were down.
Yep.
So I probably wouldn't have been cautious, personally.
Oh, you know what?
Hmm?
I'm wrong. If she paid the force, it would have been slower.
Oh, that's right. That's right. She couldn't afford to make it any slower. Alright. Good point. Good point. Alright, looks like she is going to initiate. And just 1 card. Nothing special.
I think she forgot to draw for start of turn.
No, she did. She drew.
Okay, alright.
Well, she's burned through a lot of stuff, so looks like the Guile player is probably going to try to figure out what it isn't, play against what it might be. Oh, wow. It's Ink Spike.
Okay. 6 power Ink Spike. Guile will survive this.
Yeah, and in fact, he takes no damage. Alright, so because that was not decisive, Guile could still actually bring this back. He's going to use his character ability. Decide if he wants to strike.
Now that Ink Splash is down, he has a lot fewer things to be terrified of.
Yep. Like, he can still bring this back.
Mm-hmm. Particularly a range 3 cross is pretty scary.
Mm-hmm. If he can draw into an EX Assault, I think that would be good for him. Although I guess he's already used 1 spike, so without the mix-up live, it could just lose something defensive. He draws for end of turn. Alright, QB draws for start of turn. Because, like, the thing that's most concerning here is Kitsune's Pride. Like, adding ranged stuff means that she can pop above curve at will, which will make it a lot harder for Guile to confirm hits now that he doesn't have access to double sweep kick.
Yep.
Normally double sweep kick would be like the go-to here. Yeah, looks like the QB player is going to check Guile's discards.
He's starting to run low on cards, but I think the game will probably end with decks out.
I think you're probably right.
Oh, interesting. Wanting to be at range 2 against Guile.
QB might reshuffle.
To me, that telegraphs there's a range 2 grasp in play.
I feel the exact same way. Yeah. Which, if it's EX, beats the world. Alright, we have a fierce. Doubling down. Alright. QB needs to draw for start of turn. Probably not going to change this play, but, you know, still have to do it.
Okay, hand is known.
Mm-hmm. No particular need to reveal it, though. It's just as easy to look through the discards at this point, because there's so many cards in hands. And we have...
Paying 2, so that's either power, which I suspect that we're going to get power and range.
Yep, power and range, for sure.
This is the grasp.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if she has it, this is it. I'm convinced of it.
This is called block or die, and we don't. You gotta have blocks left.
I think you're right. So the stat line on this is, let's see, 1 to 2, 6, 8.
Yep.
Noted. Good stat line. Whew. Hmm. What could he do here? Just block, right?
Yep, just block.
Alright.
That's the thing about being down to 2 life in this game, is that there's not a whole lot of answers you can do to certain things.
Yep.
Sometimes the opponent just plays inevitability.
Oh, that card. Guile searching for answers.
He will have to attend philosophy classes, because I think this game is in trouble.
Yeah, I don't think he will find his answers, or should I say, I guess it's not in the cards.
The thing I just now noticed, Kyubi put her splash into gauge rather than transform, because she wanted to be able to spend it for force later.
Yep, that makes sense. Actually, of all of her transformations, that's the one I personally least commonly transform. Like, I just get the least value out of it because I don't often want to take the prefer action. And if I am taking prefer action, I'm doing it specifically because I want to build my hand size.
Well, if Zeus is still searching discards, then he may be trying to see if there's some other way out of this he's not aware of.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think God's Fate is probably sealed here. Not literally, of course. That would mean it was removed from the game.
Yeah, we haven't seen the grass from Seijun yet, right? So that is the option.
Not as far as I can recall. Maybe there's a mix-up here and she has 2 different EX attacks. I don't know. It's also possible that he still has a block. I'm not entirely sure because I lost track with his reshuffle. With the wild swing. Oh,
yeah,
there it is. GG.
There we go.
All right.
That was game 1, I believe.
That was game 1. Yep, Seijun over Guile. So Seijun is out of the running.
Probably overleaf for the Guile player.
Yep. So the Faust now has Plague Knights and Remiliss available. ZeusPegasus still has Geoffrey, or maybe Geoffrey, I'm not really sure, Guile, and Renea.
The pronunciations of these characters don't matter, they're pretty arbitrary, right?
To paraphrase a member of the Battlecon fandom, Indians is a Rorschach test of pronunciation, so who the heck knows? Alright. I think Guile could come out again. That seemed like reasonable Guile play.
For example, I
just
could
outside
pronounce it Geoffrey.
Geoffrey.
Yeah.
Geoffrey. Let's up that ante. Alright. Well, obviously, if I was Faust, I don't know who I'd run because I'm not Faust. But if I was me, I'd run Remiliss because I like Remiliss. But Plague Knight's also really fun. I just like this team because they look like fun characters to play.
Yeah, he's got some characters who can just throw stats on things.
Ooh, yeah. Stats and triggers. Stats and triggers. So, let's see. What about Zeus? If you're ZeusPegasus, what do you think you'd run?
ZeusPegasus?
So, Geoffrey, Guile, and Renea.
I'm absolutely pulling out Guile again.
That's
I
fair.
feel like he could have won that match, and maybe Seijun's my opponent's best character, so I'm just gonna run over somebody with Guile.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I think Guile would probably struggle into Plague Knight, but does perfectly fine against Remiliss.
Okay, we see Renea versus Remiliss.
Oh, boy.
Some players seem to have a theme with the characters they picked, and I think I figured out Faust, the theme for Faust characters.
Oh, really? What's that?
They are all characters who can throw away cards from hand to add effects to their attacks.
True.
Remiliss throws away cards to make it EX. Seijun throws away cards to make her EXs powerful and have longer range. And then Plague Knight throws away cards because why not?
That's true. They're not running Fight or Iacris, although I guess only Iacris' Exceed mode does that.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that's a good point. Okay.
It is almost certainly a forced comparison, but it's fun.
Forced, you say, about spending cards. Think about that. Alright. Remiliss versus Renea.
Unfortunately, I have no theme suggestions for what Zeus's team is about, since Geoffrey, Renea, Guile seems pretty diverse.
Uh, phew. I mean, defensive characters is the best I got, but there's a lot of defensive characters to choose from, so it doesn't mean much.
Yeah, for some definition of defensive.
Guile starts out as defensive.
Yeah, Geoffrey has defensive stats,
Mm-hmm.
and Renea is sometimes has a defensive playstyle. So in some ways, they're defensive.
Yeah, like Guile starts defensive for the first half of the game, and then for the second half of the game, he's super aggressive. Joffrey has defensive stats on his cards, which lets him be aggressive. And Renea plays defensively so that she can play her cards aggressively.
Yeah. Renea, importantly, doesn't love initiating strikes because she likes to keep her boost hidden until the opponent
Yes,
has to do something about it.
this is true. Once she's in Exceed mode, she's perfectly happy initiating strikes because she's just going to have like +2 speed, +4 power for the rest of the game for some reason. I don't know, Renee's pretty ridiculous, and I'm really bad at playing into her. Alright, well, I'm excited to see Remy in action. Remy is one of my favorite characters. Although it is against Renea, one of the characters I fear most.
Renea might break one of the ways you play Exceed, which is you play aggressive to defeat defensive strats, and Renea doesn't let you do that.
That would explain why I am awful at playing her. Remiliss jumps into range 1. This makes sense. Range 1 is Remiliss's favorite range. And it's not all that comfortable for Renea. Renea doesn't, in my opinion, seem to have much of a favorite range. Her range is, like, her favorite range is whatever her boosts and her cards in hand allow for. So.
Do we see a late mulligan for Remiliss? Is that what happened?
No.
Or Renea? Oh, that's a boost.
That's a boost. That's a boost. It's Renea, yeah.
Alright. These people playing their boosts vertically like this.
Yeah. I mean, it's not in the rules to put them sideways. It's just a common convention. Alright, we have a 3/4 EX track. Oh! This person knows how to play Remiliss.
Yep.
You saw that, right?
Yep, that is a noted good boost.
Yeah, but no, I mean, that's a tell because they put their Ultra on top, which is an optimization trick that most players don't know. Alright. Let's see. Renea reveals Jiu-Jitsu. Moves 1.
Ooh,
oh my gosh!
That's going to punish hard. And that is an unfortunate time to hit with Paranormal.
Yeah, Renea gets completely stuffed. Oh, man. So she'll deal 2 damage after armor. 2 damage.
And then hits back for 8 for the courtesy of that exchange.
Yep. Ooh. Well, that's ground 0 for you. Fantastic card.
Absolutely amazing card. Good transform too. Can you explain to our listeners which of Remiliss's transforms are bad?
Why would a character have bad transformations? This is Remiliss. Everything's awesome. Although this is actually her least. Wait, what?
Yep, I was about to say something. Luckily, it's just damage, so that's pretty easy.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, right. We're seeing a large hand of cards which you might not want to have.
Yeah, especially against Renea, I would absolutely ditch these. So this is the Engineer Destruction boost, which is reveal top 4 cards of your deck. Discard any number of them, put the rest into your hands. Remiliss might just pick these up for the raw force and pray that she doesn't get readings, but it is safer to get rid of them. Oh, taking the risk.
Okay.
There we go.
It's reasonably acceptable, although I think you're going to get forced here.
Yeah, I think she's going to eat something pretty rough, but, you know, having the force is good too.
Yeah.
So yeah.
It's just unfortunate she happened to reveal 4 normals.
Normally I consider that, no pun intended, normally I consider that pretty valuable because it means you're getting 4 normals out of your deck so you can draw into your specials faster, but picking them up, well.
Oh, and this is where you change cards, because that became value.
Mm-hmm. Yes. This is a good time to CC, or even just to strike. Alright, we have a boost instead.
This Remiliss is not scared of anything.
Remy is playing with fire. Keeping those normals in hand is extremely dangerous.
Yeah, especially when most of those, several of those normals will lose to lead.
Mm-hmm.
And Renea either doesn't have the way to capitalize on it, or she's being too.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Both players are being a little bit greedy.
All right, that looks like a strike from Remiliss and spinning 3/4.
Okay, this is an acceptable way.
Yeah, this is getting rid of those normals.
Yep.
This makes sense. All right, Renea now needs to reveal that boost. Oh,
okay.
Well, she should have moved one. That's awkward.
She played blocks, so that block is played, right?
The block is set.
Yeah. Okay.
Like, there's no way to take that back.
Yeah.
Move one should have happened earlier. Oh well.
It's fine.
Mm-hmm. This was
revealed the block. She didn't have the option to take it back.
I firmly agree with that. Because yeah, she already saw her opponent's stack. But yeah, I mean, retreating was like objectively the best decision that Renea should have made. But it's really up to the opponent whether you allow the take back here. That said, the movement is mandatory, so you gotta move one or the other.
Yeah.
All right.
That's a pretty okay nuclear option.
Yeah, that's serious value. So the hit effect nuclear option adds the top 2 cards of Remiliss' discard to her gauge, generating a much-needed force bank.
Remiliss either pays some force here or takes damage. And if she doesn't do anything, we'll just tell her to take 3 damage.
Renea.
Yeah.
Did she spend force?
I don't think so. Five armor. This 5 power attack. Okay, we just missed it somehow. Okay.
All right, fair enough. It happens.
Yep.
All right.
Luckily, that's something that's not going to cause too much confusion if you ask about it.
Mm-hmm.
So even if we get it wrong, they can figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
That is a boost.
Yep.
Yep. Renea playing like Renea plays. Those face down boosts.
If that's +2 speed, then this would be a pretty nice time to lethal force it.
I agree with that. Renea might also just try to compound her advantages by continuously boosting. Turn after turn.
No, that's certainly what I would think is worth doing in this case.
Mm-hmm. Renea only has 2 stat boosts, one on ultra, one on a special, but that's still more than most of the 7 cross gets. So she tends to be alright in boost wars. It also helps that you don't know what her boosts are.
Also pretty valuable against Remiliss is Unearthed Conspiracy, because you get to dunk her valuable transforms to gauge.
Mm-hmm. That is a very scary effect. Whoa, what?
I believe tried to search discard and deal instead, because those 2 buttons are next to each other.
Oh, got it. Yep, you're right. TTS. Some things that will not happen in real life.
Yep.
Like, let me check your discard pile. Oops, I accidentally dealt it.
Yeah.
Hard to do that.
You get things like that in exchange for like half-second reshuffles.
Yep. Worth a trade-off in my book, but, you know, your minds vary.
It does take a little time to get used to it.
Mm-hmm. That's for sure. Alright. So, I believe it's Renea's turn? Since Remiliss prepped after Renea played that boost? Okay.
Yeah, that's where I was last time. Okay. Okay, so that is a strike.
Okay. Revealing that boost. Oh.
Armor.
Huh. Interesting. Wonder what this is.
I still feel like this is lethal force. I really like that card.
Evidently. It's also good into Remiliss. We have a non-EX cross. Oh, it is lethal force.
And Remiliss guesses it.
Yep.
Or she gets something below curve at the very least.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, not necessarily a hard read into lethal force. But it would work just fine. May have also called the assault, since defend assault was pretty good.
Yeah.
Deals 2 damage and retreats to range 5. This is interesting. So, specifically because they're at range 5, and Remiliss does not have radiation in play, which is the transformation of toxic tendrils, she's only threatening 1 card here, which is radiate. However, Renea can't beat EX radiate except by dodging with the likes of cross or straight fire.
Yep.
Alright, they're both building up their hands.
interesting thing about striking as Renea is that you have to boost before the opponent sets their attack. So a lot of times you do get situations like what just happened where the opponent can kind of guess what your intentions are by seeing what boost you're facing up.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. It's a telegraph that you don't necessarily want to give. Alright, so Remiliss is initiating with one card. This is incredibly telegraphed.
That's Irradiate or it's a trap.
Yes. If it is a trap, however, it's a low value one.
Right. Because it only traps EX dive. Ooh.
Oof. Well,
Oh.
it was Radiate, and Renea appropriately dodges it.
Yep. There's not much you can do against Strafe, Fire, or Cross.
I would actually argue this was value for Remiliss because one Stray Fire is now down.
That's true. And Irradiate's an acceptable loss for a Transform.
Mm-hmm.
It's really good, but it's not necessary for a game.
Agreed. It's great, but not essential. So it's now Renea's turn. If she strikes with Called Shot, okay, this is no, that's a boost. Okay, but like
that is probably Conspiracy Unearthed.
That makes sense. Conspiracy Unearthed and Called Shot is one of her canonical setups. Amusingly, Remiliss can completely disable that setup.
Yeah, she just strikes and plays the other cards as force.
Yep. So it's not very useful into her. Although it does basically force her to ditch her hand for no value, which is, that's nice.
And if she does that on initiative, Renea is going to be very, very pleased because she can just play something that's not going to do anything, like a block.
Mm-hmm. Oh, Remiliss moves into close range. Well, closer range.
Yep.
Alright. Now Renea is in danger.
We see an EX attack coming down.
Uh-oh.
This is
speed. With +2 speed. Alright, so
that can be a spike. And
yep.
That's pretty good.
Spike and dive are the main threats here. It could also be the literally unbeatable Flare. But Flare is not very scary. It only does 3 damage, 4 with EX.
Yeah. Yeah, EX Flare is not really reasonable at 7 speed since you're already going to be unbeatable pretty much.
8 speed.
Yeah, 8 speed.
Right now, because it's EX and has +2.
But a regular Flare at 7 speeds already.
Yeah, that's already unbeatable.
You don't need to be super unbeatable.
Yep. So it's kind of extra. Oh, I see what you're saying. One Flare was already unbeatable, so EXing is probably unnecessary. So it's probably not Flare?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, what does Spike lose to? EX cross?
Spike loses... Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so nothing. Basically.
Basically.
So if I was Remiliss...
Nothing that Remiliss plays.
Yeah, if I was Remiliss, I would probably just Wild Swing.
Yep.
Or I'd play Block, just in case it
Preserve
isn't
your
Spike.
force.
But yeah.
I wouldn't even play Block here. I've got a life lead. I'm going to preserve my force, and maybe my opponent doesn't play Spike, and I Wild Swing into whatever he does.
Yep. I would actually... What I would want to do is I would want to Wild Swing Block. That's the best of all worlds. Let's just do that.
That's acceptable, because that covers some options. Since Wild Swing is expected to lose anyways.
Yep.
Oh, he's gonna...
From hand. Oh! It's not Spike! Alright.
Does not get punished for that.
That'll work out.
So I think I take that.
Mm-hmm.
Has to pay at least 1 force not to get stunned. Not a big deal.
Yeah. Takes no damage.
Decides to take nothing.
Very fortunate for Remiliss. Very risky.
Yep. But, Renea not having any techs is kind of okay.
Oh, no techs, no dives. Yeah, that's a big deal. Well, she has Flare, which is kind of dive-like.
On the other hand, if you're Remiliss, you have to be very terrified about ever spending that gauge.
Alright, boosting Reclamation to return a nuclear option to her hand.
That's a pretty defensible choice.
For sure. Reclamation, despite its great versatility, is almost always used to return one of 2 cards, because they are simply the highest value cards that can be returned in almost every context. These are Toxic Tendrils, or Nuclear Option. It is sometimes also used to return Ground Zero or Irradiate. Oh, we have a parry.
There is no more nuclear option.
There it goes.
Unless there's another one, of course.
Unless and until.
This is probably anticipation. No, that's a boost.
It's boost.
I might be having too much anticipation.
Yeah, the anticipation is killing us.
Nice thing about Remiliss is that she doesn't have as many boosts, but she doesn't need to play boosts, and she just gets stats by this.
Speaking of, we have an EX attack at range 1.
Boy.
Fierce in play on Renea's side. There's a lot of options Remiliss can play here. It's a pretty intense mix-up. She has access to Ground Zero, even Toxic Tendrils if she's feeling really cheeky.
Yeah, I would not play Toxic Tendrils here, but I'm not playing, so.
Oh, it's the other grounds. Oh, no!
Stuns out the focus. That's insane.
Oh, man. Yep, that is an 8 damage Ground Zero, which will break through that 2 armor to deal 6 damage, crushing Focus's guard at 5, and stunning.
Wow, that's heartbreaking.
Oof. And yeah, that Fierce goes away and that Focus goes away. Renea is now a 14 life deficit. She needs another transformation or another gauge to be able to exceed, or she needs to start winning mix-ups.
Importantly, that means Renea is not exceeding this turn and not grabbing that.
Yep. Oof.
If you're Remiliss, you'll take that.
Yeah, no, that's good. Things have been going pretty swimmingly for Remiliss.
Yeah, this is decidedly in her favor at the moment.
All right, Renea preps.
It is Renea she's facing, so you can't ever count her out.
No, this is true. She can absolutely come back from this. I've seen Renea come back from worse deficits, but when I've seen that happen, it's been reliant on her Exceed mode.
Yeah, it's been reliant on her Exceed mode and reliant on some of the more abusive transforms.
Which she does have one of the really good ones, but ideally she'll also get the one in Shadefire. We'll see. That'll be really hard for her to hit now without just exploding.
Funny you should mention exploding in the game against Remiliss.
I know, right?
On the plus side, Renea does not have to worry about Ground Zero, and that's gotta feel nice.
Not for a while.
Not until reshuffle.
Yep. Unless Remiliss decides to boost Aftershock to recur it. Light. Alright. Playing a boost war when the opponent has boosts you don't know what they are. Always scary. Alright. Second boost.
Yeah, we get a boost war for real now.
Man, this is scary.
I believe Renea's. Sorry, I keep getting it mixed up. Remiliss is probably setting up the Toxic Tendrils.
Oh. We have a EX attack. Oh.
Okay, and if this is Toxic Tendrils, then it's gonna.
It is unbeatable in that case. Literally. Well, Renea's options are pretty narrow. She has a lot of defenses, so she can hope to trade against it if it's not Tendrils. It is.
Tendrils. And, that's gonna be so expensive.
Neutralizer gets stuffed, spinning 2 gauge, and getting stunned for 5 minus 1 equals 4 damage.
Yep.
Dropping Renea to 10 life.
That's pretty heartbreaking. That's probably the point where I don't think you're gonna make a comeback.
Yep.
Remiliss is not going to be EXing this turn, but it kind of doesn't matter at this point.
I think you mean exceeding. Well, or EXing actually. Never mind. Other way works. Yeah, she did misorder her discards. Oh, she wasn't. No, she was stunned. Yeah, she can't. She can't sustain that.
I think you'll have to say something before you discard a card.
Yeah.
Good catch.
Don't want to accidentally reveal any hand information.
Yep. That would, yeah, Zeus would not be able to fix revealing hand information, so it would have been his mistake, but definitely want to stop it before that happens. Alright, that is a strike. That's actually pretty justified.
Yeah. I mean, cross, straight fire, spike, lethal force, there's a lot of reasonable options here. There's cross. Yeah, that's fine. Establish range 5.
Of course, if opponent has a radiate at this point, but, you know.
Radiate is, yeah, only loses to the other cross. Up.
Oh, nice.
Engineering destruction.
Oh, very nice.
Yep.
That makes a lot better for Remiliss.
Oh, man.
Well, first time she got all normals, this mostly not normals.
Oh, man.
And
there's some intense value.
Her last card in hand is technically known, but That is a lot of stuff that can do very ugly things.
Yep, I believe the last card is Irradiate, if I've counted correctly.
Okay, makes sense.
Oof. This is scary. That Tendrils can actually hit from here.
And Irradiate, importantly, EX with medium and straight fire.
Excuse me, yep, that is correct.
And looks like Faust is kind of his cards. What things can mess him up right now?
Mm-hmm.
If he sees both crosses down, which I do think both crosses probably does EX Irradiate.
I would agree. It's also possible he might risk the EX nuclear option.
Yeah, that's fair.
Not sure that I would, but he might. Oh, one card?
Okay, so this is not EX.
That's just Irradiate then.
Yeah, loses straight fire.
What? Oh, it's bait.
That is a very interesting form of bait.
That is okay. It got rid of the straight fire.
Yeah, it did. That's true.
Hmm.
So now nuclear options pretty free.
Yeah. Renea continues booster.
Might not slam nuclear option just because I don't want it, but might do it anyways because why give Renea time to recover?
If both crosses are down, I think I would slam it.
Yeah, I think they're down. I'm not 100% certain of that, but I think they're both good played.
Renea needs to reshuffle in the near future to be able to continue presenting valid threats.
This could be the move one transform, and that would be the one saving grace she might have.
Jujitsu? I'm almost certain both copies of that are down.
In which case, this could get rough pretty soon.
Yep.
We know Renea has both dives down.
Yes, we do. Alright, Remiliss preps. Must be comfortable in her position. There's the reshuffle action.
Yep, pretty necessary.
Yep, I would agree. Alright, so this is probably time for Remiliss to strike before she can't make use of that information.
Correct. Probably nuclear, but it's a mix-up.
Oh.
Well, there's at least one nuclear, so probably not nuclear.
Yeah.
Unless this is just mind games.
Which are always fun. Renea needs to reveal that boost. Okay, Conspiracy on Earth, which is unfortunately very low value now. That's one you actually do want to initiate with.
Yep. Yeah, especially against Remiliss.
Mm-hmm.
But in most matchups, you want to initiate.
Yep. Or you can just play it face up. Nothing requires you to play your boost face down.
Huh. Yeah, I never even considered that line.
Mm-hmm.
So those are actually good cards to be able to.
Yeah, interesting. I actually would have expected the EX Assault here. Like, Remiliss had it and didn't play it, which I find interesting.
Yeah.
That means... I think that would mean this is Irradiate, because that's the only thing I can think of that would be better than EX Assault.
Well, Renea doesn't have a whole lot that deals with her.
Oh my gosh, no.
The reshuffle and draw a cross, and it paid off.
No, it didn't.
Oh, that's still in range.
That's 2 to 6.
Yes. Oh no.
That is so painful.
Oh, I thought Renea had pulled it out somehow, but nope.
Mm.
And that's all the transforms online, and that's all the pain in the world.
Yep. Renea preps. Man,
Well,
if I was Renea, I actually would have... Well, maybe she doesn't have the called shot, but like this would have been a prime time to hit the called shot.
Yeah, I mean, cold shot's pretty free. You know that, so.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Nope. Still just boosting.
Shot, so.
Oh man.
Remiliss doesn't have any hits with this range, so Remiliss is gonna.
That is true.
Unless she's drawn the second copy of her, which is possible.
Yeah, if she draws a second copy of anything, she could exceed and just threaten to, end the game instantly. Move action, there you go. You called it.
Alright. So now we see the cross, not cross, the assault.
Yeah, the assault is the major threat here. EX assault threatens lethal, and there's not much Renea can do about it. If there's speed boost in there, she can actually beat it with a well placed flare.
Yeah.
We have a
Okay.
strike, but no expenditure apparently. Oh, well. Oh, there is speed.
Oh, very interesting.
Hmm.
All right, so if we don't see a certain card, we know.
Oh, I was about to say I think it's ground zero, but it's not.
Okay, yeah, getting rid of ground zero is defensible.
Okay, so this doesn't leave a lot that's actually good for Remiliss. Flare is the likeliest play here.
Uh, yeah. Flares seems pretty. I think this is probably toxic tendrils on Remiliss's side.
That's in discard.
Oh, it is. Okay.
Yeah, she used it for the for the fancy move action against Stray Fire.
Then I am somewhat uncertain what this could be.
Yeah, like my read would have been ground zero, but it's not ground zero, so it could be the other Radiate.
So it's probably
But
dive, but
or it could just be dive.
This is not flare.
It is Radiate. It's EX dive. Okay, that's good for Renea.
Yep.
Just gonna get a tidy 5 damage in. Remiliss drops to 20 life.
Yep.
And misses.
Probably want to keep that speed boost in play, but I guess you don't have to.
Yeah, it's optional. Personally, I would have.
Yeah. I think I'm probably losing this match, but my only hope is to just do crazy things with a bunch of plus speed.
Yeah, like that. Having +2 speed for the rest of the game, even if it costs you a lot, is really, really good.
Yep.
It means in particular that your flare becomes that much safer. Like, your flare probably beats everything.
We see Remiliss spend 2 cards for CC3.
Yep. Per the
yeah,
transformation on ground zero, power cycle.
And Remiliss is threatening pretty much everything.
Yes, she is. She has the center of the stage, which is exactly where she wants to be. Because that extra range transformation and enough force to spin to make anything EX means that she can basically nuke the entire board if she wants. That said, if she's too slow, she can still lose to a flare. But losing to flare is not the end of the world.
Yeah.
She could also lose to anticipation and neutralizer, actually. Renea has a decent number of options at this specific point in the game.
Yeah, neutralizer is a pretty fun option for Renea right now. I'm a big fan of that, since it deals with a lot of the nonsense Renea does.
Remiliss. But yeah.
They're not the same character. I think they are.
The names are very similar.
Character whose name starts with an R.
Yep. Good old Ryu. With a life lead this substantial, it'll be difficult for Renea to climb her way back, even with those tools. She could do it. It's possible. Oh. Reading.
Okay. Doing crazy things is very much necessary for Renea, so I am not going to fault that idea at all.
Yep. Reviewing that to normal to make sure of the stats of whatever it is they're looking to call.
And they have to reveal their face down boost first.
Yes, the boost needs to be revealed. Okay, there we go.
Yeah, this could be a decent payout if it works.
So will it land?
And
yeah, reading should hit discards now, but whatever.
Do you EX it if you get red? No, you don't get red, so.
Yep, didn't get red. I think EX something.
Yeah, EX Grasp probably.
I'd probably EX Grasp if it was me. It depends what was called, because that call is information as well. It's probably a Spike though. Spike is the safe thing to read at range 1 in most cases. And there's the EX.
Yep, that's probably Grasp.
Yep, there it is. That's game.
Okay, I believe Faust takes it 2-0.
That is correct. Seijun Remiliss over Guile Renea. Well, GG. That's the sets, and that's that. Thank you all very much for joining me. Thank you, Jay, for joining me for this stream as well. For those not
my pleasure.
For those not familiar, this is a Exceed fighting system. If you're interested in Exceed, you can play it for free on Tabletop Simulator. Note that Tabletop Simulator itself is not free. Look for the module XFS Balanced Breakfast, which I personally maintain. And join the Discord community, Level 99 Organized Play League, or Online Play League, I forget exactly what we call it. You can find lots of friendly people to talk about the game, and hit people up for matches on TTS. Thanks to Taxicab for organizing this, the largest Exceed tournament to date. Matchup Madness. Huge tournament with 90-odd entrants. We are now entering the double elimination phase. This was the second round, I think, of the winners brackets. Probably forgetting something, but, you know. Till next time. Bye.